and to your family as well. I'd like to ask you a few questions, starting with the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, also known as DACA. Hundreds of thousands of DACA recipients around the country are afraid right now for what this incoming administration might do to them, and also what it might do to their unauthorized family members. In order to receive DACA, these young people submitted extensive paperwork to the federal government, including detailed information regarding themselves and their loved ones. They also had to qualify, as you know, for the program. And in qualifying, each person's case was reviewed and determined on a case-by-case basis. They must have not been convicted of a felony or a significant misdemeanor or 3 or more misdemeanors. The young person must also not be deemed to pose a threat to national security or public safety. The young person must currently be in school, have graduated or obtained a certificate of completion from high school, have obtained a General Education Development Certificate, also known as GED, and or have been honorably discharged as a veteran of the Coast Guard or Armed Forces of the United States. Among other things, DACA applicants must submit proof of identity, proof of time and admission in the United States, proof of relevant student, school completion or military status, and biometric information. As part of the DACA application process, we conduct biometric and biographic background checks against a variety of databases maintained by DHS and other federal agencies. If a DACA applicant knowingly makes a misrepresentation or fails to disclose facts in an effort to obtain DACA, it is a felony, and the applicant will be treated as an immigration enforcement priority to the fullest extent permitted by law, and be subject to criminal prosecution and or removal from the United States. This means, obviously, that applicants to DACA know that if they're not giving us the whole truth about their story, they're putting a target on their own backs. At the time, the Department of Homeland Security assured them that it would follow its long-standing practice of not using such information for law enforcement purposes, except in very limited circumstances. These young people are now worried that the information that they provided in good faith to our government may now be used to track them down and lead to their removal. So my question is, do you agree that under DACA, we have, and those young people have relied, by hundreds of thousands of them have relied on our representations? Do you agree with that? That we would not use this information against them?
The entire development of immigration policy is ongoing right now in terms of the upcoming administration. I have not been involved in those discussions. If confirmed, I think, I know I will be involved in those discussions. I think there's a big spectrum of people who need to be dealt with in terms of deportation.
I'm speaking specifically of DACA.
And those categories would be prioritized. I would guess, I'm not part of the process right now, I would guess that this category might not be the highest priority for removal. I promise you, Senator, that I will be involved in the discussion.
I'd like that you would read or become familiar with a document issued by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. It's frequently asked questions brochure. Question number 20. The question is, if my case is referred to ICE for immigration enforcement purposes, or I receive an NTA, will information related to my family members and guardians also be referred to ICE for immigration enforcement purposes? The answer, according to this document, is that if the case is referred to ICE for purposes of immigration enforcement, or they receive an NTA, information related to their family members that is contained in their request will not be referred to ICE. Are you willing to maintain that policy of not referring that information to ICE?
I will definitely look very long and hard at the document. I'm not familiar. I don't know right now where the upcoming administration is going this. I will be part of that. I can tell you, Senator, I promise you that I'll keep a very open mind as we look at this topic.
Are you familiar that under your predecessors, the Director of Homeland Security made the decision and issued the information to the troops? It was not the President. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you agree that many of these young people were brought here as children and only know America as their home?
Many of them are in that category.
And do you agree that they are now studying at colleges and universities and graduate schools across our country? Some are working in Fortune 100 companies, major institutions, and businesses both small and large.
I'm aware that some are, yes.
And do you intend then to use the limited law enforcement resources of DHS to remove them from the country?
I'll follow the law, but again, I go back to we have a limited capacity to execute the law, so we would certainly look at the highest priority activities, but I will follow the law to the extent that I can execute the law, if that makes sense.
Well, I know as a career prosecutor, formerly Attorney General of California, and before that a district attorney elected 2 terms in office, that we in law enforcement have limited resources. I'm interested in knowing from your perspective where the students and the young people who applied for and were eligible for DACA, where they would fall on your list of priorities in terms of the limited law enforcement resources that you have, or would have if confirmed.
I think law-abiding individuals would, in my mind, with limited assets to execute the law, would probably not be at the top of the list.
And would you agree that state and local law enforcement agencies are uniquely situated to protect the public safety of their own communities?
I would agree with that.
And are you aware that state and local law enforcement leaders across the country have publicly stated that they depend on the cooperation of immigrant communities to protect criminal activity and to come forward as witnesses to crime?
I've read that.
And are you aware that there has been, in the past, when the government has applied indiscriminate immigration sweeps, many local law enforcement agencies have been concerned and have complained that there has been a decrease in immigrants reporting crimes against themselves or others?
Was not aware of that.
Will you make it your priority to become aware of the impact on immigrant communities in terms of their reluctance to report crimes against themselves, their family members, or others when they're concerned that DHS may direct sweeps against entire immigrant communities?
Yeah, my commitment. I'll get briefed on this. Again, I fall back on really the law will guide me if confirmed in everything that I do.
And I would encourage that not only the law, but how it will practically apply in the streets in terms of the perception of the interpretation of the law to those immigrant communities, and what we all want to do, ensuring that all victims of crime, regardless of their document status, are protected and that they receive justice in a court of law.
Acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.